Hey guys, ALEC Peirce at the ranch, and now we're doing another project. I love projects, so we keep thinking of things that we can do around the house. It's like we have so much spare time. The next thing I know, I'm checking online to see how much it would cost to put a stone basement facing on our house. So we checked it out, checked the price of putting a stone on here, and decided that we weren't going to spend that kind of money. But then we found a company by the name of Novik. Novik. Very simple. And they have all kinds of stone facings on their ledges and stone facings. Let's see if I can find one quickly here for you. And they're very, very affordable. And the reason is simple. They're plastic. They're not real stone. They're plastic. So, of course, you know... And also, it would make it much, much easier to install, in my opinion, having been involved with the installation of the stone on the fireplace in the basement and the chimney. That's a bit of work. I just wasn't prepared to face that at my age, and after that, and then we came up with this relatively inexpensive stone facing. Now, you can see a bit here. We put one panel on here. And the Novik product seems to be very good, and very affordable, and very attractive as well. Should last a good long time. However, although Novik does supply pretty good, fairly detailed instructions, and they also have, which is typical these days, they also have a number of videos online showing how to install their facing, and it is very easy, very easy. There are some complications. I think the major complication is the simple fact that we're putting this stone facing. And you can put the stone facing right up and make the whole thing stone if you want to. But we just wanted to have this basement stone look, you see, with siding above. So the difficulty we face is we want to put this stone facing on our house, which has existing siding on it. This is an older home, 20 years old. So we want to put the facing and existing siding. And that's where the problem occurred. That's where the difficulties occurred. And there's nothing in the Novik catalog. Maybe I'll send a copy of this to them and they can address it, although they may not want to. But there's nothing in there to assist you in putting the Novik stone facing, faux stone, I guess they call it faux, meaning not real, faux stone facing on a house with existing siding. So we were kind of on our own, and it didn't take us long. We're pretty handy at figuring things out, and we figured out what had to go on. Now you see here, let's deal with the siding first, because that's pretty simple. And we have a piece right here. Just watch here, Diana. I'm going to pull that out. You see how that works? Yeah, it's got it latches on the bottom on what they call a starter strip. Starter strip looks like this. L-shaped, and this attaches to the bottom. And on the bottom of the siding, you see this all the way along. All the way along, there are hooks, and so it sits down in that starter strip. And once it's in that starter strip, it's going nowhere. Yeah, it's in there. It's better than being screwed on. The starter strip simply nails along the bottom, and this sits in the starter strip, and this goes up against the wall, and there are holes up here, and there's procedures for putting your nails, just ordinary siding or shingle nails, in the proper holes, and there's a hole down here. And then this panel, as you just saw, slides into the one in front of it. And on you go. And pretty soon your house has a stone siding. Yeah, nothing to it, right? Well, here's the difficulty. We wanted to have the stone facing, and then we wanted to put the stone ledge on top. The ledge looks like this. Very, very attractive, you see. It looks like a real stone. See that, Di? It looks like real stone with a concrete ledge. Very attractive. And this concrete ledge goes on above and also nails, very simply, nails into the wall. But maybe you're already starting to see the problem that we faced, because the siding, the existing siding on the house, this siding on the house, has to come down over top of this ledge. It's called ledge. It's actually what they call it. It has to come down over top of the ledge like this. In fact, done properly, which we intend to do, there actually should be replacing the J-trim along the bottom of the siding. There's J-trim. I'll take a picture of that for you too. It goes along the bottom that your siding sits in. It not only holds the siding tight to the wall, but also it acts as a reservoir, I guess. So the water hitting this goes down to the J-trim, runs to the corners and runs out. But anyway, so the difficulty we faced is very simple. We had to figure out, you have to cut the siding. So we had to figure out where to cut the siding. You don't want to cut it too short or you won't be able to get it in. And you don't want to cut it too long or you'll have a gap in there. And neither is very good. So we sat and we figured and we drew diagrams, and you can see lots of paperwork. The starter strip is a half an inch off the floor, in our case the deck. That's not hard to do. If you swing over there, Danny, you can see what we did. You can see the starter strip, and I just took some wood, pieces of wood that are 1/2 inch thick, slid them under the starter strip, put the starter strip down tight to that piece of 1/2 inch wood, and then nailed the starter strip in place. So that was fairly easy. And then, of course, we know the height of the panel itself, and we also know the height of the ledge itself. So if you simply add all those together, then you should know where to cut this off. Well, yeah. Not quite that simple. The first thing you have to do if you're going to install Novik, and this is in the instructions, is put the corner on. Yeah, there's corners. See here? There's a corner. So you get the corner in, and one edge of one panel goes in behind and disappears. And then on the other wall, the other one disappears here, and you have a nice corner. Wow, look at that. And then there's a piece of ledge that goes on there as well, sits on that as well, and completes your corner. Well, if you think this was a little bit interesting, this was a job all in itself, because now you have the siding corner. The original siding corner is there. And it has to be pulled out, or the corner goes in, because the corner goes in before the panels. The corner goes in, then the ledge goes in. This has to be cut exactly right. Same on the back and everything. So we got that done. That took us 2 or 3 hours to get that one corner in place. Now that's okay, because once the corner's in place, right, this done, no problem. Well, not quite. Couple of issues. First of all, this ledge and the corners and so on, those pieces of material are relatively thick, a bit thicker than the original siding. So I went and got some siding nails, 1.5 inches and some 2 inch as well. There's a couple of places where it might need a little longer. That's the first thing. Secondly, we did cut this off. We calculated it and cut it off where we thought it should be, but we were wrong. Once we got this in and in place on this starter strip, that 1/2 inch up, but the panel goes right to the deck, got that in there and got the ledge on, we were too close. It was too tight. This ledge has to go up. You see this bottom edge of the ledge right here has to go up there. This bottom edge has to be the same height as this, and it is not. So you'll see this piece of ledge goes onto that piece of ledge, and it's up underneath the siding. And that's interesting because somehow we have to get this ledge. This is easy. This nails right to the wall. But we have to get this ledge nailed to the wall as well. And that ledge is underneath the siding. How do you nail it on? Well, unfortunately, you have to loosen some nails all the way across. Every second panel, there's two of these in a panel. So this one's nailed on, and then that one's nailed on. Now you have to go all the way along and remove a couple of nails so that you can pull this out safely without damaging. And then we have to get underneath there, nail the ledge on, and then bring this back down, nail it on, and put the J-trim in, or put the J-trim in first, whichever is the case. So it isn't quite as straightforward and simple as you might think. However, with a little bit of perseverance, a little bit of common sense, Diane and I have been able to figure it out, and we think this is going to be beautiful. Now we're going to work on it again today, and I'm going to try to get a bunch of this section of wall. It's about 40 feet long. This section of wall finished, hopefully today. We'll take some pictures, and hopefully it will meet our expectations. I may run into a couple more problems with that I'll share with you. But the bottom line is, from what we've seen so far, it's going to look really, really nice. The coloring here, the siding, the deck, everything else in our whole environment. We live in the country, as you know, and the whole thing is going to look very, very good. I'll let you know how it all goes. But I thought I'd share that with you. If you are interested in using some of this stone siding from Novik, just be prepared that it may not be quite as straightforward as it says in the instructions, first of all. And secondly, certainly, if you're installing this on the existing house with existing siding that you intend to keep, then there are some issues in here that you need to look at very, very carefully before you start cutting. Here's a stone corner, stone siding right to the deck, and a stone ledge. This is called a ledge with a corner on here on the top. And this was a lot of work, a lot more work than you might think. Let's talk about it. Come on, go for a walk. Here we are at the front door. You can see the same thing. Stone facing down below here. Fits right into the original J-trim and the ledge on here. A couple other things we did is the ends. This is an actual corner that you buy from Novik, a corner to match the ledge. But at the other end, it's not a corner like this. In order to make these corners like this, you take an L-shaped corner, a true corner, cut off one leg. That's what that is. The other part of that corner you'll throw away. Unfortunately, we have a lot of corners because every window along here has to have 2 of those corners cut. And they're not inexpensive. They're not a lot of money, but they're not inexpensive. We hated the waste material. So Diana, who's very, very handy with plastic welding, actually took pieces of ledge and she plastic welded those pieces of ledge onto the end of the ledge stone rather than having a separate corner. I'll show you one in just a minute. Here's an example of what I just mentioned where we made a corner. So the ledge stone comes along, sits on top of the stacked stone panel, comes up underneath the J-trim. Ledge stone comes along like this, and it ends right here at the window in this particular case. Could be a window, could be a door. So you have an open end. Now, Novik's suggestion is to buy a corner, an L-shaped corner, cut one leg off and stick it in there. And that worked. We did that a couple of times. But you have to buy a lot of corners. In our case, about 11 corners. A lot of extra corners. So Diana got pretty handy. And you can see here what she's done. She's actually taken a piece of this facing of the ledge and plastic welded it firmly onto the end. And with a little bit of touch-up paint, it'll look like it's original ledge stone corner. And there is the south side of the house. Runs right down there as well. Right down to the far corner. All done. The whole thing is solid as the devil. Solid. Looks good on the wall. This is certainly plenty solid. The corners are, we're very happy. Very happy with the look of the Novik stone facing on our house. And I would certainly recommend to anybody if you're looking to change the look of your house, make it look a little better, and maybe modernize it. This is more of a modern look for the house. Then I would certainly recommend the Novik stone is a great product. Just to be prepared for a little extra work if you're adding it to an existing house. Anyway, kind of interesting. Talk to you soon, ALEC Peirce at the ranch.